Yeah, we suck right now.
Culture is seriously. Like, I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes.
2 weeks remaining. Prepare your doomsday shelters for the radioactive fallout. There is so much to play for, so much to claim. On the grand stage this week at a lot of blowouts and slop fests. And it begins with an uncharacteristic starting ground. Wednesday afternoon football. If I were Netflix, I count the money and run. Massive ratings for teams playing 3 games in 11 days. Horrifically lopsided all around. Welcome to Steeler Nation. Ho, ho, horrible. It went from New England owning them as property to their spiritual successor in Kansas City owning them. Outcoached, outplayed, outschemed, and out-efforted. Chief bullshit more than bested Steeler bullshit in every sense of the word. A total disaster from their perspective. In less than 2 weeks, Pittsburgh had a chance to assert themselves as a lead and they reinforced narratives. I swear to God, this is becoming 2020 light and I'm gonna fucking break at the seams. Kansas City, in the meantime, stuck to the script and crushed their opposition. Travis Kelce securing over 1,000 receptions and setting the team record for touchdowns by a tight end. Apparently, all the Chiefs needed was to play a jobber to the stars. Enhancement talent to bring out the best in them as a franchise. Securing the #1 seed with authority. Yep, it's happening again. We knew it was going to, but we were just praying for that morsel of falso. They are inevitable. I welcome our overlords to their rightful place in the throne. Pray they show mercy and not be spared execution for treason. Prepare for the ultimate revenge game of 2024. Deontay Johnson taking on the team he was upset with for lack of playing time. Paying tribute to his tenure in Baltimore, his new team didn't show up. Texans aren't just dead, they've been rotting for weeks. I thought the Steelers were humiliated on a national stage. Houston made them look like the truest sense of a fucking contender. This was not seen from Meaning of Life where a bunch of kids played an all-star rugby squad. Shoving them in the mud, body slamming them on the mat, exposing CJ Stroud for a sophomore slump rivaling Mac fucking Jones. Lamar put up Tecmo Bowl numbers in the process, setting the record for most career rushing yards by a QB. He's in year 7. Jesus. In tradition, the Ravens slapped their nutsack across Houston's face. Crushing the wither foes beneath them has brought them back to their rightful place in the AFC hierarchy. The tune-up for January is almost complete. Now do us all a favor and don't beat yourselves yet again, pretty please. I'm gonna be honest, I barely paid any attention to this game and my brain cells are grateful. They had to be forcefully subjected to this trek, they'd have killed themselves on the spot. The final Thursday night abomination was one of the games of our time. Prepare for an epic battle of punting beyond our measly comprehension. Oh, what a duel of right legs! The Seahawks were absolute dog shit. Chicago somehow performed Dion's worst. Caleb Williams is out here hero balling in a 1v100 like he's Rambo against the Soviets. He dies immediately. I suggest we treat this game like Fritzl and lock it up in the basement. Only fitting that Caleb does his best Kyler impression and throws a terrible pick to end the misery. Contract both these teams, contract Thursday Night Football, execute the McCaskies for crimes against the sport. Late-stage football is the epitome of waste to everyone involved. From the personnel overseeing it to the production crew slaving for hours to the fans near blackout drunk from tailgating. The previous 2 groups are envious of them. They'll barely remember this blowout the next day. To be fair, we all will. Most of the football world was watching college bowl games. Did you see the Pop-Tarts Bowl? That shit is hilarious and awesome. Innovation at its finest with a gimmick you'll remember for a while. Dude, the trophy doubles as a fucking toaster. I just want to dig into that Pop-Tart even if the eye stares into my soul. Yes, I am talking about a different thing entirely. That's how little this mattered. The Chargers were Reagan and the Patriots were Mondale. Landslide. Liquid LA gets a chance at revenge in the playoffs. Welcome back, Jim. Survival instincts have to kick in for both squads. The Bengals are paying for defensive fuck-ups past, while the Broncos aren't hoping the clock's already struck midnight. Things are eerily quiet until the second half. Both teams are merely trying to feel out their opponent for potential weaknesses. Their outer shells are both sturdy and formidable, but after probing and prying, they'll both begin their attack. Offensive firepower overcoming the supposed defenses in front of them. Joe Burrow dicing up his prey as usual, and Bo Nix dicing up the Bengals' D as usual for Cincy. The game continually tied up with Denver countering every Cincinnati charge. But then the dreaded adversary of any offense appears for the Bengals. A fumble. It gives Denver a chance to win and be playoff bound. But a miracle happened. Mopix returned on another terrible interception. Such a blessing deserves an equal present for the Christmas spirit. Zach Taylor being a moron. How shocking. All he had to do was kneel the ball and kick a field goal with limited time remaining to win the game. A touchdown's perilous since Denver gets the ball back in a one-score game. And with that terrible Cincy defense, are you shocked that they're giving up yards en masse? Look, it's 4th and 1 with time winding down. Stop them here and win it.
Anarumo saying get over the top of Sutton.
Burton the block. And Nix will throw it. It is caught. Touchdown! Touchdown! Mims got the ball!
Fucking hell, Bungles. Bo's chucking a desperation heave into double coverage. How the fuck did Mims come up with that? Now it's tied and your season lies in the balance of overtime. The Bengals pretty much do nothing on their first drive. Fortunately for them, Mo Picks returned yet again, overshooting a wide-open target to force a punt. Cincy, here's your chance. Prime field position and Joe Burrow's a great quarterback. It's gonna come down to a chip shot field goal. Any NFLer worth his salt can make it. You know, maybe Zach was right to not kick the field goal in the 4th. Denver doesn't even have to win now. A tie gets them to the promised land just as equally. All they need are a few first downs. And Mo Pick showed up again. How many goddamn opportunities have you had, Broncos? Bengals kept bungling everything away, yet you were just too kind to capitalize. If you want their high-end talent, will.
And Burrow with the ball. 1st and goal. End zone. Caught. Higgins. Touchdown. Bengals win. And they are alive in the payoff race.
Since he didn't just save their season, but 2 others in the process. It'll take many miracles for the Bengals to get there, but it's the thought that counts. The Bronco implosion continues, but Kansas City should be resting their starters next week. You're not gonna fuck this up, right, Denver? Mo Pix isn't gonna show up against the Chiefs, right, Denver? I think the last time these two met, the Rams were all but dead to rights with an injury report rivaling the Lions of today. Now with LA having everything to lose, it becomes an ungodly slog like most games so far this week. Both offenses sloppy and sluggish. Arizona at least has the legendary inconsistency excuse. What the hell's the Rams' problem? Is the attrition on their O-line that bad for them these past few weeks? Sure, they have a 10-point lead, but LA's reeking of a first-round exit with performances like this. Their defense can't keep performing miracles, and it's only a 4-point game in the 4th quarter. This is where Kyler can prove himself as the Cardinals' future. We've long been waiting for him to take that next step. He's driving this offense with authority. To an arm punt. Oh, god damn it, Kyler. The Rams' offense can't do anything with the opportunity. And thanks to said offensive incompetence, the Cards are charging forward in the waning moments. Kyler skimming the top off this defense and an alarm to the few people who aren't watching bowl games. This is Arizona's chance to spoil. You try for a field goal, but that blocked extra point from earlier is rearing its ugly head. Even better, just kill them off for the night. Pay dear Seattle a favor in the process.
Murray's going to throw it to the end zone. Up in the air. And intercepted.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Arizona. Kyler sniped a headshot to perfection, but friendly fire was on. You boys have been practicing this for how long and you still fuck it up? You gotta execute there. Just like your season was executed on the spot. In Cardinal tradition, an end-of-season collapse is their reward. The only consistent in all of it has been Kyler. Just putting it out there. But for the Rams' outcome, we'll have to wait until the Sunday games. They can clinch the division if a few things go their way. Strength of victory tiebreaker. Second time in 2 years for Seattle, too. Ain't that a bitch?
Miss.
Football gods were trying to make sure this game didn't happen. Their solution to a terrible game on paper was to drench it in a borderline monsoon and tornado warnings. The average Thursday night contest? These franchises should be banished to the depths of hell. Except for Brian Thomas Jr., he can stay with us civilized people. Duvall saw the planes flying above the stadium demanding Bulky's firing. And the fans are punished with a win that might keep him in the organization. To be fair, the Titans are a poorly coached, untalented train wreck, so it doesn't really count. Mason Rudolph guides Tennessee's tank back to the 2nd overall pick. If the Patriots somehow beat the Bills' backups next week, the glory's all theirs. Unlike Tennessee of today, it's beautiful. When a terrible team wins one game late in the year, it's devastating. When a terrible team goes on a winning streak late in the year, it's a wasted season. The Raiders had the number 1 pick in their sights, but for whatever reason, they unleashed anger at their team plane having mechanical issues the night before. An actual running game for Las Vegas? Now of all times? Fucking Amir Abdullah, a 10-year journeyman suddenly transformed into prime Marcus Allen with over 100 yards on the ground. The tanks are rolling, he and Brock Bowers are the landmines to blow it up. Bowers is an absolute beast on the field. So deadly, he set the rookie record for receptions and yards by a tight end. Under their might against a dead franchise, Las Vegas goes down to 8th in the lottery. There will most likely be no Project QB to ruin. Maybe they'll be like the Saints and pretend their failures are due to injuries. I think this might have been Cameron Jordan's last home game for them. He deserved better. What a shame. Tampa Bay smells fear. They can sense the Panthers' despair in these hostile grounds. Upstart offense and Bryce Young's emergence be damned, the Buccaneers need a target after last week's flatlining. Lo and behold, the fresh meat currently wetting themselves at the sight of Baker Mayfield gutting his adversaries alive is the perfect target. Baker thrives as the underdog, but this may have been his magnum opus. 5 TDs, over 350 yards passing, and made Carolina stay out of sorts at every turn. Bryce did alright for himself today, but Mayfield was on an entirely different stratosphere. In the darkness, a new face emerges from the shadows. You've heard of the emergence of Bucky Irving this year? Meet Ducky Irving. His aura and charisma wills the special teams to blocked punts and return touchdowns. The rallying cry for a resurgence. A desperately needed win and morale boost to keep them alive in the playoff hunt. The Panthers can have all of their silver linings and positive trends. Tampa Bay has greater aspirations to attend to. One more victory. That's all it'll take to host another playoff game. Jets really does mean just end the season. It doesn't even matter that the Bills were lethargic in the first half yet again. They're facing the butt fumble. It would take them outright forfeiting the game to lose. Buffalo could have tripped over themselves imitating a Marx Brothers sketch, and it still would have ended up as a Bills touchdown most of the time. We've been over the Jets a billion times this year, so I'd just be repeating myself, but they themselves refuse to change up the formula. Shit everything. And it all starts with Mr. Rogers' abandoned neighborhood. QBR isn't a perfect stat by any means, but it's usually a good baseline for a player's performance. Aaron's QBR today? 1.2. One of the worst in the history of the stat. After failing to do anything, Rodgers all but benched himself in what could be his final game in the NFL, let alone the Jets. You have to pull the damn plug. He isn't just a cancer, he's a withered husk of his former glory. New York itself is a withered husk of a fool's hype. Buffalo secures the 2nd seed and more against a glorified scout team. Once again, just ignore the lingering concerns and celebrate the win. We're all just laughing at the Jets, you're good. Despite the easy stretch for Philly, there's another curveball thrown into the picture. Jalen's still in concussion protocol. Another week of Kenny Mittens will frustrate Eagles fans everywhere. Nah, I'm just kidding, he did well. The Cowboys are down a significant chunk of their key playmakers.
Perfect.
Without their top man under center, Philly made easy work of a hated rival.
Perfect.
Saquon's free from purgatory and galloping to a 2,000-yard season. He's reached his peak as a generational player behind a quality O-line. Between him and a composed Kenny Pickett, it's a cool breeze for the Eagles. Kenny sacrificed himself for the win in the process, so appreciate the NFC's crown in his honor. Even with Tanner McKee, the Cowboys' defense was no match.
Perfect.
An insolent pup brought to heel in hostile territory. Now get back in the cage and stay there. Philly is a first-round match to tune up for. Fucking Indy. I knew you were a shitty team, but this is a travesty even I couldn't imagine. A paper soft schedule allowing your fraud squad to sneak into the seed that shouldn't exist, and you still fuck it up. Stop me if you've heard this before. AR5 is injured. The elite Joe Flacco will be forced into duty. And it's not pretty. Colts fans may hate his guts and pretend that getting Richardson reps will suddenly make him into a consistent quarterback, but Flacco was far from the major issue here. It was their defense. This unit was supposed to be good? People were saying that I was sleeping on them? What the hell are they smoking? Is the entire unit hotboxing in the locker room before games? That's the only explanation I have for this disaster. These fucks turned Drew Luck into prime Peyton Manning. Horsecock Lock. One of the highest DPAs in the stats history. Drew fucking Lock became a generational QB for a tank squad. New York's first home win on the damn year with authority. The Giants may have ruined their chances at tank bowl glory, but only dropped to 4th, so Cam or Shador could still be in play. But the Colts, another year of outright humiliation on the national stage. You broke Pat McAfee. You know how bad you have to be to do that? He's the epitome of an airheaded dude, bro, and he's pissed off. To be fair, if this were my team, I'd be producing enough salt to clear the streets of Indianapolis all winter. Oh, this is more than worthy of Lolcow of the week. It merely reinforced what I was thinking about this garbage team since week 2. Keep fancying yourselves as playoff contenders. It's totally doing wonders. Anyone who's watched these guys for 10 seconds knows they suck. You give up over 40 points to a derp squad that's averaged 11 over the last 3 games? I rest my case. The Saints of the AFC. Utterly delusional.
Miss.
Only 2 games in the 4 p.m. window and one of them is this slop? We don't even get the flash of Tua since he's out with injury. Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley against Dorian Thompson-Robinson. We should have just quick-simmed this one. It would have been much more enjoyable to see the result instead of witnessing whatever the fuck this was. As mind-numbing and rain-soaked as the weather conditions in Cleveland. The perfect allegory for the factory of sadness. Miami, you picked the right time to deal with a Tua injury. Browns had absolutely nothing to offer. DTR threw almost 50 times and only averaged 3.6 yards per attempt. It's pretty much the only stat you need to see. Simply preparing their fans for another year of Deshaun Watson. Snoop Huntley, on the other hand, lived up to his Pro Bowler reputation by being efficient and careful with the football, which is all they really needed. It's unseasonably warm in Cleveland, so the Dolphins survive. It'll take a miracle to get to the playoffs, but it is possible. Kind of hard to believe, but this season's been weird as hell. Brother against brother. The older sibling seeks continued supremacy, but the younger one has greater aspirations. They have everything to prove, and there are still doubters of their might to convert to the almighty embrace of God Emperor. Speak softly and carry a rocket arm. Destroy those in your way with incredible throws to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Hear the lamentation of Wisconsin's dairy cows. Pouncing early and a startled Green Bay has little chance to respond. Yet things are never easy in Minnesota. Remember, they're afflicted with the Seahawks curse of never being normal. The script honestly played out a lot like their first meeting. Minnesota jumps out to a strong lead, but they forget to shut the door on the way out. The Packers are slowly creeping back into the fold. And by slowly, I mean charging at them with the kitchen knife, screaming in tongues. The Vikings have no response. They can't seem to evade their maneuvers with haste. Green Bay's doing the thing again. The eternally tormenting older brother only down by 2 and all the momentum in the world. But then the God Emperor graced us with his presence and guided Minnesota to a few first downs. They were able to close the door at the very last moment. Green Bay's currently doomed to the 7th seed. The Vikings have emerged as a legitimate threat, but can they go further? Week 18 awaits. You know what's at stake there. The duel of duels. Both teams begging for the taste of playoff glory once again, and the only way to it is through one another. When rookie QBs face off, there will be some mistakes, but it's a fun match to watch either way. The spirit of the fight is lively, and the Falcons know the stakes. The 10-point lead at halftime, they have the chance to put them away. You know the answer to this question by now. Washington, under the newfound power of Jayden Daniels, storms back with consecutive touchdown drives. The Falcons' defense that was besting them suddenly can't make a stop. With the Commies controlling a 7-point advantage, it's panic time for Atlanta. But this is Michael Penix's time to rise. The fine drive finding his talented skill position players, he gets them to the goal line just for the center to botch a snap to Bijan. Wait, skip that part. Michael Penix gets them to the end zone with the unlikeliest of heroes. Kyle Pitts can catch touchdowns. Insanity. This untold blessing grants them a Washington 3-and-out. The Dirty Bird has a chance to put it on ice. But incompetence happens. Raheem, you dumbass, you had 2 timeouts. Use one of them. They won't bite. No wonder why you got fired from Tampa Bay. The fringe is a field goal ranger as far as you'll go.
Riley Patterson Has it on the way. It's online. Is it long enough? No. Short. And the game goes on.
And you don't have Young Wei. Like our aspirations rarely came up just short in overtime is the so-called reward. Unfortunately for you, Washington doesn't feel like giving up the ball. Cringe all you want, but Jaden Daniels is gonna make sure that you're buried alive.
It is Jaden Daniels end zone. It is caught for the touchdown. Zach Ertz takes Washington into the playoffs.
The Dan Quinn revenge game. A tale as old as time. If I'm a Bucs fan, I'm sending everything I have to Washington post-haste. Kami seizing the win from Atlanta's choking hands has all but granted them the division. And it's offered an even greater reward to DC. A ticket to the promised lands of January. Back in September, we were highlighting this matchup as a pivotal moment for the number 1 seed in the NFC. Well, it is for one team. The other spiraled into a pit of despair that they're unable to break out of. The 49ers experienced the same woes that afflicted them all year. Every Fred Warner speech in the world can't stop the Lions' relentless attack. Don't worry, the Niners' offense is also going to do well against Detroit's Plan C defense. It was a spectacular air show rivaling the Thunderbirds. Over 900 yards and 10 TDs combined. Tie up the punters and leave them in the storage unit. They will not be needed tonight. It's a neck-and-neck battle thanks to both defenses being unable to stop a tumbleweed. And the only deciding factor will be who makes brutal mistakes. No shock to us all that San Fran was the culprit. Kirby Joseph swooping in like a hawk and swiping interceptions away left and right. And with a chance to tie, the Moody Blues croon in the night once again. Seriously, they spent a third-round pick on this bum? Have another pick by Joseph to seal the deal. The Lions ready themselves for Week 18 and the spoils that await. At the end of the day, did we really learn anything? No. Both teams have the same narratives as before, but it was fun football to watch. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. The Niners were no match for the Lions and it epitomized their season. Injuries have wrecked them, and it's bought Lynch and Shanahan a year to try and clean up the mess. If only it were that easy to do. This week settled a lot of questions, particularly with seeding in the AFC. The contestants have dwindled to a few, but there are a couple of spots up for grabs, mainly in the AFC. The North is still undecided. Baltimore now controls their own destiny in this regard. Win and claim it. If they lose and Pittsburgh wins, the division will run through them instead. The final piece of the AFC puzzle is the 7th seed. Denver holds it for now, but a skid leaves them in danger. They're fortunately still win or tie and in. If they slip up, Miami gets the spot if they win. If Denver and Miami lose, Cincy will sneak into the picture. If everyone loses, the Broncos still get it. On the other side, the NFC number 1 seed and the NFC North are tied up in a Week 18 contest. Vikings against Lions. Winner take all. Loser doomed to a wildcard spot. All or nothing, the best way to go. Meanwhile, the NFC South has been all but assured for Tampa Bay after last week's revelations. However, it's not fully secure. A loss to the Saints combined with the Falcons win gives it to Atlanta. But the real prize for Week 18 is the Tank Bowl. A contest for the ages with 4 separate suitors. New England with one more loss will begin to forge a dynasty of losing. If they fuck it up with the win, the Titans will have it. If they both deal with the pesky victory, the Browns secure the dubious honor. If all 3 win, the Giants merely reclaim what they once held. Oh, what a time it is to be a fan. The stakes are higher than ever. And there are 3 words that echo throughout time and space.
Don't get eliminated!
For our last segment, we will not bring out the dead. Instead, we crown the grandest prize of all. Lolcow of the Year. The nominees for this dishonor: Lee Houghton, the commissioner of the re-revival of the Arena Football League. A completely unprofessional mess from the moment it was devised. Team shutting down within weeks, ousted from power for being derelict of duty, leaving calamity in his wake. The surviving teams go on to form the equivalent of the No Homers Club, the Chicago White Sox, setting the record for most losses in a baseball season with 121. Epic ineptitude everywhere you look. Once looked at as a potential dynasty, only became one in misery. We'll be shedding more payroll and blowing it up less than a decade after blowing it up. Matt Eberflus, purveyor of so-called excellent culture, helped to drive the Bears into the ground with disorganization at every level and bought short yardage play calls. Don't ask him for any timeouts. He's saving a special one for a rainy day. and the New York Jets. One of the finest butt fumbles ever assembled in their history. The Aaron Rodgers and Woody Johnson show turned into the modern equivalent of Joker 2. Woody using Robert Saleh as a scapegoat only for the team to implode on itself. Joe Douglas canned after being cucked in his role. If you act quickly, you can change Madden ratings to their liking. And the winner of 2024 Lolcow of the Year is... the New York Jets! Congratulations on recency bias, boys. I personally would have chosen Lee Hutton or the White Sox, but the Jets make a very strong case for themselves. You were hunting for a trophy? You earned this one, lads. Well done!
From 58 yards away. Longwell got it away. And it comes up just short.
And they're going to return it.
This is Cromartie. And Cromartie down the right sideline with a head of steam.